Jean Paul Gaultier is undoubtedly the king of diversion, humour and transgression. He was otherwise known as the l'enfant terrible de la mode, which translates to the horrible child of fashion. The truth is that he looked nothing like what he did today because before he was ever a sensational fashion designer, he was born in Arcueil, in the outskirts of Paris, and has always been fascinated by the Parisian nightlife, its diversity and its culture. It was his grandmother who brought him to see the film Falbalas by Jacques Becker, which really sparked his interest in fashion.
Plus en fait que vos parents.
Mes parents m'ont apporté plein de choses aussi. Mais je dois dire que ma grand-mère, c'est plus, on va dire, spectaculaire ce qu'elle m'a apporté. C'est-à-dire que d'abord, elle me laissait faire tout ce que je voulais.
Consequently, at the young age of 18, he became an assistant at Pierre Cardin, which would allow him to gain his independence as a designer. Jean Paul Gaultier's works truly shined in the 1980s. It wouldn't have been the same without him. He affirmed clearly through his works that fashion has to stop being so serious. For instance, to showcase this, he would juxtapose edgy leather jackets with light ballet tutus to make an unforgettable look. He also transformed tin boxes into bracelets, which seemed to please the press. Throughout his career, Jean Paul Gaultier has made his fair share of iconic collections that has forever changed how we view fashion today. His leitmotif has always been Il est interdit d'interdire, which means it is forbidden to forbid. One of his breakthrough collections was La Dadaïsme in 1983, where he introduced the cone bustier famously worn by Madonna. Then in 1994, skin-tight mesh with motifs and piercings were introduced to imitate the heavily tattooed guys that one would come across in the streets. Then in 1997, the first haute couture collection was introduced, but this time for men. He said during an interview that, quote, les hommes autant que les femmes peuvent désirer des créations de haute couture, avoir eux aussi envie de vêtements luxueux faits main. Indeed, a revelation for the Gaultier male who would be seen as submissive in skirts and dresses.
Premier défilé, homme, eh ben, il s'est appelé l'homme-objet. Parce que je me suis dit, au moins on va à l'égalité. J'ai essayé de montrer une part de féminité chez l'homme.
On the contrary, the Gaultier women were dominant in corsets. For him, women are dominant enough to be the master of their own sexuality. Therefore, corsets are no longer a garment of female oppression. Instead, it has become a sexual liberation. Jean Paul Gaultier has always been fascinated by different ethnicities, religions, and cultures. For example, in 1995, models came down the runway in Chinese dress kipao with striped pants. He is fearless to controversy and is often the designer to explore vast and taboo subjects. For example, his haute couture Spring-Summer 27 collection was named Les Vierges Esthétiques. The model castings for Jean Paul Gaultier are also quite remarkable. He is one of the first designers to organize diverse castings. So think transgender, plus-sized and androgynous models which were introduced in the Jean Paul Gaultier shows. In fact, he preferred people with unique and abnormal looks rather than the traditional standard of beauty. That's why in the Libération article in 1983, he stated recherche mannequin atypique, which translates to research in atypical models. But fashion designer isn't his only job, as he is designer by day and costume maker by night. He has even collaborated with big stars such as Regine Chopinot or even Madonna, making her more than 150 costumes for her iconic Blonde Ambition tour. He then joined La Fédération de la Haute Couture in 1997. Now let's talk about the coats of the house to see what distinguishes it from the rest. So there's the cone corset, idealistic sailors, skirts for men, seductive illusion dresses that hugs the body, camouflage, trench, and cages. Perfumes by Jean Paul Gaultier is also very well known and had made an international breakthrough. Its appealing citrus scents given the price finally gave the youth a chance to buy high-end perfume. This includes his perfume Le Mâle, and through hypersexual marketing with idealistic male models, these commercials developed a desire for the consumer to feel like a man and thus buy the product. There's even an industry standard for this, and this is known as Oriental Fougère, which attract consumers by idealistic marketing. Averaging from around 2 to 7 collections per year, Jean Paul Gaultier had always been in the fashion scene. The future of Jean Paul Gaultier is surely going to integrate street looks on the runway. One could imagine that his future runway shows are going to be more subversive than the one before and is surely going to make jaws drop. Staying true to his house codes, he would continue to cast more diverse models and challenge modern beauty standards that are known today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you some other time. Bye!